What's up guys, and welcome back to the West Side. Today I wanted to do things a little bit differently for this review. I did want to go over the Perseus Pro IV. I've had my hands on it for about 3.5 weeks so far. Been playing with it, really enjoying it, but I also want to give my opinion a little bit on the state of the meta, what things are looking like right now. Do power paddles like this still have a place in the meta? And is foam actually going to take over some of these paddles like the Perseus Pro IV? So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to be totally honest. I did not want to like this paddle. I know everybody uses it. Everybody in the competitive scene uses it. The PPA players use it. Just about everybody that wants to be good or at least look like they're good uses this paddle. I personally don't like going with the meta. I always try to go outside the box, try to find a paddle that plays good but isn't at the top tier. I was avoiding buying this paddle for quite some time just because I wanted to see if I can get good without a paddle like this, because I didn't want to have to rely too heavily on my paddle. But honestly, this paddle is good. There's nothing else I can say about it. I'm a little scared because I might like it too much. If you're watching this, I'm sure you've already seen a ton of other reviews on this paddle. It's nothing new. You already know how the power is, but just to kind of go over my personal play and how it's been for the past 3.5 weeks, I have noticed that this is indeed one of the most powerful paddles on the market right now. I recognize that. And I went into my first play session understanding that, you know what, this paddle is gonna be performing at the highest tier possible. And I wanted to make sure that I had a good control of this paddle, but it is a little bit hard to control. This is a 14 millimeter, so I was really conscious about the amount of pop that this paddle was going to produce, and it definitely did not disappoint. I actually like very poppy paddles. I like thinner paddles. I really don't like anything above 14 millimeters. 14 is like my sweet spot, especially because the carbon is a 14 millimeter. Some people say it plays like a 16. I don't think so. I still think it plays like a 14. And this is exactly why I bought the 14, especially because my Agassi is a 16 millimeter and I found it to be underwhelming. It's safe to say that this paddle can drive the ball like an absolute beast. For the past couple of weeks, I just saw no need to drop the ball. I had no need to do any third shot drops. I just kept on hammering away at my opponents, chiseling away, because I knew that if I just kept driving it, at one point, they're not going to be able to block my shot. At one point, it's going to come too fast. It's going to catch the edge. Something's going to happen to where they're going to mess up. And this was just my routine. Drive, 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 drop on a very rare occasion, and then continue to drive and drive again. And this is exactly what this paddle excels in. I think it does extremely well in doubles and in singles. It was hard to find a weakness for this paddle when it comes to power because it just has some of the best power that you can buy. It can be hard to control at times. I found myself overshooting on my returns more often than I thought I was going to. If you just catch the sweet spots and you're not prepared for it, it will sail over your opponent's heads. And that's the big problem that I had with this paddle. It did have a very high-end pop and I liked that, but I just think for me, the hard thing was my returns, because I was so used to having a paddle to where I could actually swing through on my returns at a decent pace and it would still land towards the back line. But if I swung normally, like I do with my other paddles, this would fly way too far. And so I had to be really careful with my returns. I basically just had to let it hit my sweet spot real gently and then let it land on the other side. And I was kind of playing a little bit more timid when it came to those returns. But in every other aspect, when it came to power, I was as confident as I had ever been playing with a power paddle. I would say for most players, this is starting to lean more borderline towards uncontrollable power. I'm not the best player. I'm not extremely experienced, but since I play with a lot of power paddles, I knew what I was getting into more or less when I picked this up. I think a good benchmark to go off of is the SLK era power. That has controllable power. It's solid. It doesn't really compromise in any other aspects that much. It's got a decent sweet spot. It's got a lower swing weight. And so that power is a great benchmark for like, hey, can beginners control this? Yes or no? I would say that this is at least a step and a half above that SLK era power. So there's a reason that the pros are using it. Like I said, they're the best of the best. They can handle that amount of power in a very high stakes game. I think most players, their problem is not that they need more power. The problem for them is that they don't know how to control the power. The power is at their fingertips, but they don't know when and how to use it. And I fall into that category. There's times where I drive the ball and I really should not be driving the ball. I should probably be dropping it, or I should definitely be setting up so I can move up to the kitchen line, but instead I'm hitting it from far back. And so I don't think the problem is power. If you're a beginner and you're looking to buy a paddle that makes you play better, you do not need this paddle. Contrary to popular belief, I know a lot of people at the rec, when I brought this in, they were saying, dude, that's the paddle I want that one. I'm gonna save up for that one. And anytime that I would hear someone say it, because they said it a lot, I would say, dude, you actually don't need this to play good. You honestly don't. I am a big believer in the fact that any paddle that you pick up, you can play good with. I know there's some really bad paddles out there, but people pick up bad paddles all the time and even win tournaments with it. You'll see them on the podium with their medals showing off with some random paddle. And you're like, how is this? How is somebody winning with a control paddle in a high stakes 4.0 tournament? How are they doing that? The reason for that is because it's mostly about the player. I would say the paddle is about 25-30% of what makes up a good player. The rest of the percentage, 70% of it at least, is gonna be how you play. So yes, a paddle does complement a person's play style and it can definitely help you play a little bit better. But for the most part, the average player does not need a paddle that is this strong. This is coming from a player who loves power paddles, and I really do like this paddle. Like I said, I did not want to like it. I was kind of going into it thinking like, hey, maybe this is a little bit overhyped. Maybe it's not as good as people say it is. Maybe it's just, you know, because Ben Johns has a signature in the front, and that's why people want it. It's not. It really is a good paddle, guys. Like if you want one of the best paddles you can buy, this is it right here. There are plenty of other power paddles out there where you don't have to sacrifice your wallet just to be that guy on the court with the Perseus Pro IV. But anyway, that was my little rant about power paddles. Some of the other things that I liked and disliked about this paddle, I actually like the handle. It feels a little bit thinner than some of the other handles that I have. Like the Agassi Pro feels like a tennis handle. I don't want to be holding a pickleball paddle that feels too much like a tennis racket. I like my pickleball paddles to still feel like pickleball paddles. And the Agassi Pro, the handle's just a little bit too thick for me. This one feels just a little bit more narrow and it fits my hand just right. I really like that. I think the balance point is very good. I added 0.4 ounces. So now my paddle's up to about 8.3. This came in at 7.9 ounces when I first opened it up. Stock swing weight was pretty low from what I could tell. And so there was plenty of room for customization, which again is needed if you're playing in a professional setting or a high competitive setting. One thing I was pretty disappointed in when I got this paddle was how smooth my paddle face felt. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this was some sort of variation from the factory where I just got a smooth paddle. Other people probably got a pretty textured, gritty paddle. But to be honest with you, I didn't think it affected my gameplay that much. Like I said, when I was looking for power, I didn't care about the texture that I had on my face because I knew this thing was gonna bang the ball really hard anyway. So for me, the surface texture didn't bother that much, although I would like to see there be a little bit more consistency on a paddle that is $280. If you're spending $280 on a paddle like this, I think you should at least expect consistency from the company that's making these paddles. Now, as far as the meta goes and where the Perseus Pro IV lands in a competitive meta like today, it 100% still has a place in the competitive meta. You're still gonna see Ben Johns use this and you're still gonna see him win with it over and over and over again. A ton of people use it. It is still viable. It is gonna be viable for a very long time. But I think where we're at right now with all of the foam paddles that have come out this past summer, I mean, I can't even count how many have come out. We've got the Carbon 4, we've got the Flick, we've got the Vatic paddle, we've got the Enhance. I mean, there's a ton of foam paddles that just flooded the market this past July. And they're all very strong, very powerful, good paddles from what I've heard. I haven't tested most of them. There's only been a couple of them that I've tested, but so far it seems like the clear winner is gonna be the J2 NF as far as competition when it comes to some of these other Gen 3 paddles and how the Gen 4 paddles compete. But as of right now, I don't think any of the pros are gonna switch over to some of the foam paddles. I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong, but I just think that as of right now in the season that they're at, they've been playing with this for half the year. They've been doing good with it. I don't see why they would switch to the foam paddle when this is already putting out more than enough power. You're looking at like the closest you can get to the legal limit. It's got plenty of pop. People are used to it. I don't know if anybody's gonna be picking up some of these other foam paddles to use in the PPA Tour, but for the average player, I would actually encourage you to try some of those foam paddles. I think foam paddles are definitely the future. When it comes to foam paddles like the J2NF or the Carbon or the Flick or some of the other paddles that are out there, those are definitely gonna be the way to go in the future. They're definitely making their mark in the pickleball industry. What I'm more curious about is how Yola is gonna respond to all of these brand new powerful foam paddles coming out. They have to be working on a foam paddle. I'm sure they are. Maybe some of the other reviewers have already seen it or they know about it. I don't know anything about it, but they have to be working on a foam paddle if they really want to compete in the market space, because right now, all the craze is about foam. Most consumers right now see that as the new technology and they want to buy foam paddles. But yeah, 5 months later and the Pro 4s are still rocking. I think they're still gonna be a staple in the pickleball community until Yola comes out with their all foam paddles, whenever that's gonna be. This is still a popular paddle across the board with all pickleball players, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or pro. People know what a Pro 4 is. They see it on the court and they say, oh gosh, that guy's got a Pro 4. He's got a Perseus, he's got fill in the blank, he's got a Scorpius, whatever it is. They are very noticeable. People notice them on the court. It is obviously the #1 paddle right now on the court. It's the most recognizable paddle and one of the most feared on the court for a reason. But yeah, that's my take on the Yola Perseus Pro 4. I want to break it in a little bit more because I know I didn't address durability. I haven't had any durability issues as of yet. I know my Agassi Pro did have durability issues, but I guess I'll just have to wait maybe a couple more weeks and see if it breaks in. But as of right now, it's feeling fine. Slight break-in, if anything, nothing too drastic where it's gonna make me reevaluate my paddle and be like, whoa, something's going on here. But I don't know, we'll see. I think with the Pro 4s, Yola still hasn't gotten away from that bad reputation of having paddles break in and delaminate and core crush. So hopefully with their next generation, they're gonna get away from that. They can kind of start fresh. Even though people see the Pro 4s as some of the most powerful paddles on the market, I think they still have that stain on their legacy of being a paddle that core crushes, of being a paddle that, even though it's $280, is probably made cheap. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I've got a Pro 4 clone coming in from Alibaba real soon. I'll be doing a comparison on the clone and the original Pro 4, so stick around so you don't miss that. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. Until then, I'll see you guys again on the west side.